This is going to be a brake and rotor change on a 2003 Chevy Trailblazer 4-wheel drive. Those 6 lug nuts are going to be 3/4 or 19 millimeter. Let's go ahead and remove the tire. From there, with the wheel turned out, you're going to remove the brake caliper bolts, which are 17 millimeters, and if your inner guide pin spins, that is going to be either 3/4 or 19th. You have to hold that in order to get the caliper bolt out. Then of course we're going to change the brake hardware kit and then the brakes. So let me get that off and I'll come back. Alright, with the brake caliper bolts out, you can, on some of these Chevys, take and leave the top one in and then just swing up, and then of course take your inner brake pad, put it on the caliper, take your C-clamp, press it in, and once I get the new pads and brake hardware in, I'll come back. With the caliper unbolted, resting on something and not its own weight on the brake hose, then we are going to take off the brake caliper bolts, and I also believe, I believe that's going to be a 19 or a 3/4 on that one as well. Let's see. No, it's going to be an 18. It's going to be an 18 millimeter. Now to remove the brake caliper bracket, I'm going to leave them loaded with the brakes in them. It is going to be an 18 millimeter for the 2 caliper brackets. Be right back. So with the brake caliper bracket removed, the rotor should come right off, exposing the hub bearing assembly, and we will compare the other and brand new rotor with this one and make sure diameter and everything is good, and we'll replace it and put it back on the vehicle. So after removing the rotor and the new rotor, after it's been hosed down with brake clean, wiped, and remove the oil that keeps it from rusting while on the shelf at the parts store, the new rotor is on. Now we'll replace the brake caliper bracket, also the hardware kit, the brakes, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so with the brake hardware cleaned up, before I put the brake pads in, I grease the edges of the brake pads, the part that are inside of the brake hardware. I don't put a lot of grease, just a little, because it is a moving part. It does slide back and forth inside the brake hardware. Also, when I take off brakes, some of it times it matters, some of them don't have the reminder clips, but these here I leave on the outside, leave those on the inside when you take them off, same as when you remove it, inside, outside. And so with our new brake pads on, and we now have to depress the caliper, and of course we have our C-clamp, and we're going to use our old brake pad to surface, because since it's a dual piston, don't want to do one side, do the other side, do the other. You want to press them in evenly. So it looks like there's enough room with the center notch on the caliper. That's notched out perfectly, so you can put your C-clamp holding the inside brake pad up against the pistons of the caliper, and you can press those in evenly. Alright, so it's also a great practice to check your slide pins before assemble. You should be able to move back and forth freely, which they do, none of them is frozen. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the caliper back on. I've already depressed the pistons and put it back together, and this side's finished, and all you have to do is repeat the other side. Really appreciate you guys coming out again to Voodoo Motorsports and checking out the videos. Be having a lot of stuff coming up soon, a lot of content. Of course, like I said, we're going to get into those car reviews. We also have some video from Tulsa, Oklahoma Raceway Park, drag strip down there, huge drag strip. They have the legendary midnight drag. So you guys come back, we'll see you soon, and appreciate you sticking it out with me on this job.